Jason, why is mediation oftentimes a better decision or better choice than going to trial?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, mediation, just so we can define it, is a process that happens outside of a court usually, and it's not doesn't have to comply with all the court formalities of people being on the witness stand and evidence rules. Usually, it's managed by a retired judge.
Okay.
And it's an opportunity to solve the problem, the dispute outside of court, with typically about 1/10 of the cost of going to a full-blown trial.
Wow. Probably 1/10 of the time as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In most cases, and actually some of the courts now have mediation offered through the courts. Oftentimes, we're not thrilled with the mediators we get there, but people come in and they've got a problem. They've been wronged, right? And there's a dispute, and they're upset, and rightly so. We share their burden, but we know something they don't know. The more they fight, the more we win.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, my job, my philosophy, the reason I started this place was to have a place where I knew that the advice I was given to someone was the best advice I could give them. And very often it's stop fighting.
Yeah.
So rather than ramping them up saying this is injustice and this is an outrage and running the bill up to $20,000, $30,000, knowing that they could settle it next week for 1/10 of that.
Sure.
I choose to do it that way.
Sure.
And unfortunately, sometimes the attorney on the other side wants to drag it out because it might be the only case they have.
Right.
And so the family suffers. But the good news is there's a lot of good attorneys in Southern California that we say, look, let's file our paperwork, let's agree to mediation, and 99% of the time, it gets settled without feeling like you gave away all of your positions, because really it's the same thing without doing it in court and without paying us hundreds of dollars an hour for an extra year and a half.
So let's say I go to mediation.
Yeah.
The retired judge makes his decision,
Yes.
his or her decision. Is that decision bonded and done?
It is absolutely up to the judge and the parties that day, but in our experience, and I will say it, and it could be anecdotal for us, in the last 5 years, it's been 100% of the mediations. Actually, I take it back. 1 out of probably 100 of them didn't settle that day. And mediation is tough because you kind of walk away going, feel like I gave them a little more than I should, and that's kind of how you know that it's a good thing. But we don't tell our clients give our position away. We've got a mediation right now where our clients are 100% right, but it still makes sense to go to the mediation to convince the other side. And what happens is the judge there convinces the other side, if you keep going, you're going to lose, and you're going to pay their attorney's fees. And so I always tell my client, if you have to give them X amount of dollars instead of giving it to us, so be it.
Right.
And so makes me have no problem finding people to work for us and finding the right kinds of clients. If you're out looking for revenge and you just want to stick it to somebody, I'm not your guy. But if you're looking to come to a place where we're here to solve your problem, which is really what attorneys should be doing, then that is really, you've come to the right place.
And so in mediation, that is a true neutral third party.
It is.
Retired judge
Yes.
who's going to come in there and see both sides.
Yes, and I like to think, because we do a very careful screening process of which kind of cases we take when it comes to contested matters, potential litigation matters. Is our client right? Are they the good guy? And so very often we're coming in saying, hey, if we went all the way, we could pound you into the ground with the facts that we have, but we're willing to stop right now and give you a little bit more so we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And I think really because that's who we usually are, the other side looks at their lawyer, looks at the judge and says, we can get a few bucks now, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And so I think in the legal profession, unfortunately, as a whole, there is no incentive for us to do anything but fight as hard as we can, because we just keep cranking the meter. And it's tough when you have a lawyer doing that on the other side.
Yeah.
But again, we always like to just, kind of clarify, well, what's mediation? Why am I going to go to that? Why am I being pushed toward that? You're not being pushed toward anything except saving yourself a lot of time and money.
Right. Well, it does sound like a good option if it is an option.
Absolutely, yes.